Opel's Admiral A was part of the KAD line alongside the Captain and the Diplomat. Manufactured in Russelsheim in April 1964 to November 1968, it was the mid-range luxury model offering more prestige and equipment than the Captain, but sitting below the more luxurious Diplomat. If you are interested in seeing more, I have already made a video about the very similar Captain A. So go check it out on my channel if you want to. The Admiral A featured a horizontal radiator grille and a streamlined body measuring approximately 4 meters and 95 centimeters in length and a width of 1.9 meters. It had a bit more chrome than the Captain because it wasn't the entry level of the KAD line. It was also a bit heavier than the Captain, having a weight between 1375 to 1600 kilograms. Starting with the 1966 model year, 2 years after the introduction, the Opel logos on the front fenders were removed in September 1965, and the Opel name appeared on the radiator grille. A year after that, in September 1967, the Admiral logos were moved from the rear roof pillars to the front fenders. On the inside, the interior offered 2 front bucket seats, a center console, and an interior mirror with dimmer. In contrary to the Captain A, the Admiral A could fit up to 5 people, due to the car not having a front bench. The Captain A had a front bench and basically was also Opel's last car to offer a front bench. It had comfortable, cushy seating in front and rear, which was standard for the 1960s luxury segment, and it had a thick, thin rim steering wheel, with horizontal instrumentation, such as a horizontal very American-like speedometer, and chrome trim reflecting American GM aesthetics. Some options included power steering, power windows and mirrors, leather upholstery, vinyl roof, and a radio with windshield antenna, and sometimes even air conditioning on higher trims. Just like the Captain A, the Admiral A basically offered a few engine setups, and they were all quite identical to each other, being pretty much the same as the Captain A, as between 1964 and 1965, the Admiral A was powered by a 2.6 liter inline 6 producing 100 horsepower, 182 Nm, giving the car a top speed of 115.8 km an hour and a 0 to 100 time of around 14.4 seconds, all while having a fuel efficiency of around 11.8 liters per 100 kilometers. This pretty much was the same redeveloped 2.6 liter that was also used in the Opel Captain P2, and yeah, it was just basically used in the Admiral A as well. The following year in 1965, the 2.6 was replaced by a 2.8 called the 2800S, and this also was an inline 6 but had 25 horsepower more at 125 horsepower, and it had 206 Nm of torque, giving the car a more reasonable top speed of 170 km an hour and also an improved 0 to 100 time of this time 13.9 seconds. Fuel efficiency wise, it actually worsened a bit at 12.3 liters per 100 kilometers, and this engine actually just succeeded the 2.6 liter due to the heavy weight the Admiral had, basically having a 2.8 liter being more suitable for the car and its, just the length and measurements. 2 years later in 1967, a high power output 2.8 liter was introduced called the 2800S HL, which HL actually was standing for Hoogleistung, and the car was a new twin carburetor and therefore had more power. It had 140 horsepower instead of the 125 and 223 Nm, giving the car a higher top speed of 180 km an hour and a better 0 to 100 time of 11.5 seconds, all while having a worsened fuel efficiency of 13 liters per 100 kilometers. This engine was introduced as an option for an extra 495 marks. A year after the introduction of the Admiral A in 1965, just like with the Captain A, the 4.6 liter V8, which was also available up until the end, up until 1968, became available, and this had 190 horsepower, 347 Nm of torque, giving the car a top speed of 200 km an hour and a 0 to 100 time, not that much better than the 2.8 HL of 10.8 seconds, while having an average fuel consumption of 15.3 liters per 100 kilometers, although many sources claim that these engines were easily reaching 20 liters, 22 to even 25 liters per 100 kilometers. The 4.6 liter V8 already wasn't a success in the Captain A, and it wasn't a big success in the Admiral A, as only 623 examples of this model were delivered, and at 15,950 German marks, which corresponds to about 40,000 euros adjusted for inflation, it was around 3,300 to 3,750 German marks more expensive than the Admiral with the 6-cylinder engine. I think that was basically the 2.8 HL with 140 horsepower. Transmission options included a 4-speed manual and a 2-speed power glide automatic, and basically all the engines were optioned with a manual or an automatic transmission, except for the 4.6 liter V8, which was only available with the 2-speed automatic transmission. This automatic transmission added around 1.5 seconds on top of the manual 0 to 100 times, and added around 1 liter per 100 kilometers of fuel efficiency on average. The automatic was standard with the V8, also being optional from 1967 on 6-cylinder engines such as the 2.8 with 125 horsepower. Although not specifically competing with performance, the Admiral A competed directly with the Mercedes-Benz W108 or 109 S-Class and the more comparable BMW 2500 or 2800. Despite the Admiral having strong technical qualities, it struggled due to its American styling and Opel's non-premium brand image. Between 1964 and 1968, a total of 55,876 Admirals were made, of which 31,318 were produced with the 2.6 liter, which was available between 1964 and 1965. So basically the first few years were the most successful. 23,558 were made with the 2.8 liter and only 623 were made with the 4.6 liter V8. It was the most successful model of the first generation of the KAD line, as the total production of the first generation of the KAD line was 89,277, including 55,876 Admirals. Besides the engines I called out before, 377 of the Admiral A's were fitted with the Austrian market special, which was a 2.5 liter inline 6, and only 623, as said before, came with the Chevrolet sourced V8. Predecessor and successor wise, it was actually preceded by the Opel Captain P2, as the pre-war Opel Admiral was made during the 1930s and therefore wasn't really a relevant predecessor. The successor actually was the Opel Admiral B, which was introduced alongside the Opel Captain B and Diplomat B in March 1969, later replaced by the Opel Senator in 1978. Thanks for watching this video. In order to be able to upload more videos in the future, please consider becoming a member on my channel or sending a super thanks on this video. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe for more, and don't forget to check out this playlist with many interesting videos covering various parts of the automotive industry, and I will see you in the next video.